Welcome to This Old Apartment Building with Bryan Amos. Bryan Amos is a physical engineer. He helps you when you get the property under contract to kind of understand about what's going on and what you have. Today we're talking about electrical systems on older apartment buildings. We're looking at a 1984 building. It's probably good for us to kind of figure out how this electrical system works, because that's a big part of possible CapEx in the future. So Bryan, tell us a little bit about electrical systems.
Well, Paul, certainly when you're doing a physical inspection, electrical system is a major component that you want to check out. The main reason is because your lender is going to want to know what's going on in your electrical system, your insurance underwriter is going to want to know, and also the city is going to be making sure that you are code compliant on your electrical issues. So when you purchase a property, many times you could be on a timeline to do these repairs, so you need to know up front what's needed.
That's a great point. So when people take over properties, sometimes the city comes in and says you have 90 days to make all the repairs. But sometimes you don't know the repairs that you need to make until you bring in an electrician, a licensed electrician, to kind of tell you up front what's going on. I know some people kind of go on the cheap and they want maybe their handyman to take a look at the electrical systems and not a licensed electrician. So tell me a story about why you always want an electrician on the property.
Well, one of the things that we try to do is bring in experts, licensed electrician, master plumber, roofer, foundation. So we cover all those. An example that recently happened is that, they didn't bring those people on site up front. And so now, you've bought the property, you have to get your certificate of occupancy. And so the city kind of opens all the doors, opens
the can of worms on the change of ownership.
So to get your certificate of occupancy, you must go through their checklist, and they kind of make that checklist.
Is that checklist this big, or is it this big?
It's usually many pages.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of at their mercy to do what they require. And one of the things that happened on this property is now the city's going through in detail, and so you're finding electrical issues, you're finding air handler issues, exposed wiring, no GFCIs or put in the wrong place. So these are things now that weren't calculated in their budget up front, and so now they're having to do the repairs, and they're having to do the repairs on that fast track timeline to meet the city requirements.
So when you are buying a property, you put together your CapEx list of what you're going to put into the property. So you need qualified people to kind of figure that out with you of how much it's going to be. In this case, that person did not have somebody qualified to tell them what's going on. So now they're going to probably have to ask for capital from their partners.
This doesn't make partners happy.
Doesn't make partners happy to put that in. So always try to have qualified people up front to try to determine how much money you're going to put into the property. Let's go take a look. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with this unit right here. What are some of the things that you see right now?
We're looking for GFCIs, which stands for Ground Fault Circuit Interrupt, another acronym. So a way that you can cut the power if there's some kind of a short. So of course those are critical in the kitchens and bathrooms. So here we're looking for GFCIs, and this is typical for an older property. We don't have them.
Why weren't they put in like 5 years ago?
Well, a lot of times you don't see that unless you have a regular city inspection. So many times when a property's been owned for years, that they don't have these regular city inspections because they didn't change hands.
How much to replace the GFCIs?
It's probably about, at the most, $15 in material and $15 labor if you did it with an electrician.
Let's go outside and take a look at the breaker box.
So these happen to be located on the outside on this particular apartment complex. Many times they're inside closets or in bedrooms, and a little harder to get to. This one is a Cutler hammer, and we always take off the panel to check the type of wiring, whether it's copper or aluminum, and what are the main feeders. And so that's what Laban with Kano Electric is going to be doing right now, taking off the panel and taking a look.
Right on. Let's get to it.
So here you have your branch circuits going to the switches and plugs, the appliances, and you see that it's all copper branch circuits. And you can also see the grounding is also copper. the mains here, Laban, what are those?
These are copper AWG mains as well. Yeah. So it's
Many times you have aluminum mains, so copper is, kind of the
Preferred
gold
choice.
standard.
That's correct.
So this panel looks great.
So tell me about some certain panels that may have had some issues in the past.
Well, one of those, Paul, going to be Federal Pacific panels. Those have a history of perhaps not shutting off, which could lead to a fire or some, catastrophic event. So you want to know what panels are in your unit and how much that could cost. If you do come across Federal Pacific panels, you want to perhaps do a load test to make sure it's operating properly.
So some of these panels were in properties in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So if you do have an older apartment building, be aware that those panels may be in those units. Some great information. So Brian, thanks for spending some time with us on the electrical side of Ask This Old Apartment Person right here.